Brad Johnson here from johnson.audio, and today I'm going to expand upon my what is mixing music video, and the topic I'm going to cover is how little moves will make a big difference. And let me explain a little bit by what I mean by this. The big difference is your overall song. It's what people actually sit and listen to. So when they hear your mix or your production or your song, they're not listening to all the little moves you made. They're not listening to automation. They're not listening to compression. They're not listening to EQ. They're not listening to anything. They're just listening to the song and how it makes them feel. And so the overall goal is to make sure that that is distraction free, that everything is working together to create a good experience for the listener. Now you do that not by making big, broad moves with your plugins and your automation and your EQs. You want to be subtle with stuff, and all the little subtleties will build up to that particular experience. Now let me explain a little bit deeper into what that could look like for you as a beginning mixer and producer engineer. It's really easy to focus in on individual instruments and forget about the big picture, to be working at things in solo, to be going, okay, I want to make a guitar more present, so you either turn it up or you find a compressor that you put on it, and that compressor makes it louder, and you think this is good, this is what I want. But you have to know, first of all, louder is not better. Our brains will actually trick us into thinking louder is better. So when we do put that compressor on and it all of a sudden makes that guitar louder, we will think, oh, that sounds better, but we're not actually hearing what the compressor is doing to the guitar. You have to level match. Make sure, tip number one, is that if you put something on as a plugin and you turn it off, it's at the same relative level of volume, that it's not all of a sudden becoming louder or quieter, that it actually sounds about the same, so that way you can actually hear what it is that you're doing to the sound. And the best way to do this is to listen at lower volumes while you're mixing or mastering or doing whatever, because you'll be able to hear those little fluctuations better. Because the louder things are, our ears will actually start to naturally we have less dynamic range that our ears will pick up, because everything's so loud that we don't actually hear the little dynamics that are happening within the music. So that's a little tip for you, for just even tuning into this. I know I talked about the little details, but that's a really big tip. Listen at low volumes. I digress. Let's move forward. So when we're thinking about this guitar analogy of wanting to make it more present in the mix, we have to remember that we need to prioritize the sounds within our stereo field or our stereo imaging, which I talk about in the Mixing Explained video, which I'll post up here. But a quick review is that, EQ affects height. I talk about compression and how it affects front, back, movement, panning, goes to the sides. So say my vocals, my face, and over here we have a shaker that's shaking over here, and then we have a guitar that's right here and it's moving. But we want to make this guitar more prevalent. We think, oh, it's a really cool guitar part. So we put a compressor on it or something, or an EQ or whatever it is that maybe increases the gain, and you blow it up and it goes boop. But see, the problem is now the shaker is being covered and half of the vocals being covered. But if you do this in solo, you won't know the difference. You'll just think, okay, it sounds better, it's more present, I can hear it, and then you put everything back in, and you're a beginning mixer, so you're not really listening to the way that things are gelling together, and you don't realize that you're now masking the vocal, which is going to create distraction for the listener, because they want to hear what the vocalist is saying, and now they can't. They might hear a really cool guitar part, but that's not the main focus of this particular part of the arrangement. So you have to just know, every time you add a plugin, you're making a change to everything within the mix. It's not just that particular instrument. It will affect everything. So you need to listen to how it's interacting with the rest of the sounds and make sure that it's an actual enhancement and not a detriment to the overall quality of your mix. It's always going to be about little subtle moves, a little bit of EQ here, a little bit of compression there, and knowing why you're doing it. This is why it's very, very important that you do not just go off and start buying a bunch of third-party plugins. Third-party plugins are great. I use them. I think that they're wonderful, but I did not buy my first third-party plugin until about 4 or 5 years into actually doing this. You have to learn what these tools do. You have to get a good mix with just your stock plugins. You can do it. So to reiterate, what's this topic of this video is just you have to just know that it's going to be all the little moves that stack up to your big picture. I remember my audio mentor, my mixing mentor, would sit over my shoulder and critique every move I did, asking me, why did you do that? And you're trying to do too much with that one plugin. You're creating more problems than you are helping, and so you really have to develop your ears to hear the micro changes. And it's going to take time, it's going to take practice. This is why you should just stick with those stock plugins, like I just said, because it'll help you develop your ears and develop your taste and develop that ability to hear how all the individual instruments add up to the entirety of the song. I hope you got something out of this. Please leave me a comment if you have any questions where you want me to expand upon this. I love to hear from you and continue this conversation. I love mixing, and so I will talk about this all day long with you. If you got anything out of this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. I want to help you sing your story, mix your mission, and master your message. This is about the DIY songwriter and producer, and I know that you got this in you, and I'm here on this journey. And to all you other subscribers, I appreciate your continued support. Again, my name is Brad Johnson, johnson.audio, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.